there, and welcome back to Weird Soda for Life. Right, stop, collaborate, and listen. Coke is back with a brand new edition. Spiced, baby. Ah, you get it. Anyway, welcome back. Not a lot to talk about today with Coca-Cola, but we are going to try Coca-Cola's first new permanent flavor in 3 years, Coca-Cola Spiced. Now, uh, as we've talked about a myriad of Coke products before, so there's not a lot to go into like the history of Coke. We've done it, but talking a little bit about spiced, I guess I kind of questioned, A, why now, and B, why this? Um, so come to find out, so for those of you who don't know, Coca-Cola Spiced is supposedly a new raspberry spiced soda. I'm not spoiling anything. It literally says it on the bottle. So not a lot of surprise there. But why raspberry? So it turns out, y'all know those Coca-Cola Freestyle machines that are kind of everywhere where you can like mix and blend all the flavors? Well, turns out while you were mixing flavors, they were studying you. um, so they actually went and looked. Coca-Cola, I mean, it makes sense, right? Why create a machine that has a bunch of flavors if you're not going to try to get some data out of it? So come to find out that raspberry by far was apparently one of the most favorite syrups in the Coca-Cola Freestyle machine. So they kind of looked at that and said, well, if the people like raspberry, then we must give it to them. And then as for the spiced part, like nobody's come out and said what the spices are. Coca-Cola cinnamon, which was like the last real, I guess, soda flavor that didn't necessarily land in the Coca-Cola creations. Um, was a spice of some sort, and that actually didn't do so well. But according to some of my sources, because believe it or not, I do try to do some research for this channel. Spices and aromatic spices really are apparently popular with millennials. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. And finally, a cool fact that I learned. Usually Coca-Cola, not counting their Coca-Cola creations, which we've had a myriad of. Um, but most of the time, Coca-Cola, when they develop a new flavor for trial from the very beginning of the origin to about like to taste testing and uh, ramping it up for sale, it takes usually about 12 months to do. And this apparently took 7 weeks. So very fast, very raspberry, maybe very spicy. I mean, we're about to find out. And a brief shout out first to Weird Soda fans, Liz and John, who alerted me that they could find both the Coca-Cola Spiced and its zero sugar equivalent in bottles. I was really struggling with finding that, so they gave me some locations that where I could look. And shout out to Mr. Weird for going to those locations and finding me bottles. So, with that, let's take a look. Um, I'm going to show you this. As you can see from this and the other bottle, they're not that different. As we talk about every time we get the opportunity to try both a sugar and a zero sugar. Sugar, white lettering, zero sugar, black lettering, that's your big sign. But looking at it, I kind of like this design. It's pretty, it's fuchsia? This is fuchsia. But it's again, as it says, raspberry spice Coke and other natural flavors. So again, not spoiling this for you. Um, Apparently, there's a smart label. We won't be scanning that on the channel. And then, of course, compared to the zero sugar one, right? I have to say this is probably the first design where I preferred the sugar design with the white lettering over the zero sugar design with the black. I think this is a little too hard to read, um, whereas this is nice and crisp and clear. With that, let's see what we're getting ourselves into. Well, it smells like raspberry. Um, for those of you who imbibe a little, it really smells like a lambic, like a raspberry lambic. Or if you are Michigan bound, it smells a little bit like the Rubaeus from Founders. I I think it smells great. And with that, bottoms up. Um, that's really good. Um, A plus plus. However, I know you're like, but you just said it was good. Um, it really just tastes like somebody got some raspberry, what, Torani, you know what I'm talking about, right? That flavored syrup that people pour into like their coffee or their Italian sodas. It really feels like somebody got a Coke and was like, you know what would be great with this raspberry syrup, and poured it in. There's nothing wrong with that. I find this incredibly delicious as a sugar soda. I just think it's a little sweet, I guess. And again, not too risk taking. That being said, I think they do a lot of their risk taking with their creations soda, line. They're trying to be innovative more over there than they are here. This is very, very good in a in a sugar version. Didn't get a lot of those spices that they were selling me on, but I think maybe Coca-Cola in its own right is a little spicy, relatively speaking. It's not just sugar. It's quite a bit of sugar, but it's not just sugar. So maybe that's part of it because Coca-Cola has a little bit more of a bite. Um, but yeah, that's great. A plus plus. Let's hope the zero sugar is just as good. Um, wish me luck. Okay, so first things first, when I opened up that bottle, the sugar one, the raspberry very much overwhelmed me. It was very, very strong. This one, not so much. Taste. I haven't tasted it yet. Smells a whole lot like Coke Zero. Um, we run into that a lot when we try the zero sugar ones, where they are trying to emulate the sugar experience and slightly miss the mark. But I'm still hopeful about the flavor. But yeah, there's definitely some raspberry there. But I mean, you can't not smell the raspberry, but it's nowhere near as strong as the one coming from the sugar. With that, okay. So that is raspberry-ish as well. I think if this is an A plus, this is like a solid B. Um, it's not bad, and for people who like me most of the time don't want to drink sugar sodas pretty heavily, it does the job. There is raspberry in it. You walk away feeling okay, but it is all. I'm sure they're not using aspartame, but you know that it's a zero sugar Coke. Like, um, there's not a lot of hiding that. There's the raspberry is not as strong, but I think that is less due to the amount of raspberry flavoring or whatever they put in, and more due to the fact that zero sugar in its own right is a very distinct, heavy flavor. And it's really hard to make that blend well. Um, it's not bad. I'm not nearly as ecstatic about it as I was about the sugar one, as you can tell. Um, but it functions. It does the job. Um, so I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these. I think it really boils down to like what's your aim. Like if you're like heavy sweet raspberry, those sugar one is your best option. But if you're like, I want something with some nice raspberry undertones, but it doesn't need to like overwhelm me, then the zero sugar is your pal. But either one, go get either one. I don't think you can go wrong. Which is pretty much what I expected from Coca-Cola. I mean, they only get it weird when they do the creations. So there you go. Next week, we're pivoting away from Coca-Cola and we are trying a drink from Arizona. Y'all know Arizona, the gigantic cans, right? 99 cents. But I discovered a limited time slash limited location only Arizona flavor called Tropical Chillsicle. Um, you can only get it at 7-Eleven or from the Amazon website, Amazon, Arizona website. Um, so I'm really looking forward to trying it. I don't know anything about this. And in fact, I didn't actually know it existed until I got an ad for it on my Facebook from Arizona. So I'm looking forward to trying it. And until next time, drink weird. And I guess remember the spice must flow, but make it get pour into your glass instead, I guess. See you next time.